want to educate, encourage, enable the power. We stand for integrity, honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
Good morning. Good morning, America. My name is Michael Evans, and you're listening to America's Voice Now, live. I want to just thank our listeners for riding it out with us over the weekend. I went up to the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Convention over the weekend, and so Friday and Saturday our shows were pre-recorded. I want to thank you for, we got a lot of requests and emails, where's the posts on YouTube and so forth and so on, and of course the issue was that I wasn't there to do them. The CSPOA, or Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, did an outstanding job over the course of the weekend, putting on an event that gathered law enforcement and public officials from all corners of the country to discuss issues surrounding their roles and responsibilities and duties as constitutional sheriffs and or public officials. There were a number of great speakers there. There were a number of breakout sessions. I'll be writing some articles over the course of the next couple of days about some of the things that we learned. But in addition to that, there were a couple of stories or classes that were very interesting. I took one that was there were breakout sessions on Saturday, and I took one by the group that was running one called New Media Takes Center Stage. He who owns the media makes the rules. And basically the concept behind that was that the media can drive public opinion and intervention and concepts in a way that we have the opportunity to influence in a way that really separates us from the mainstream propaganda ministry. And so the authors or the hosts of that particular event were Drew Zahn. Drew is a writer for for a newspaper. And basically, he writes for, shucks, I forgot now. I just had it on the tip of my tongue, and I blew my brains out. Joyce Riley was there. Joyce has a radio-hosted program that is nationally syndicated. Beth Schonenberg was there, and she is the host of what used to be Derry Brownfield's show, the Common Sense Coalition. And then we also had Sam Bushman there. Now, Sam is a news host as well, or a radio host as well, and he's syndicated as well. It was a very, very interesting opportunity, and it gave me a chance to make some contacts within the radio industry to help expand and push our show a little bit as well. And so I found that particular event very interesting. Also, Michael Zullo came out. Michael Zullo is the investigator for the cold case posse for Sheriff Arpaio. And he released some new information which will shortly be making news nationally related to the Obama birth certificate issue that's going on and the controversy there. So I'll talk more about that. I do have an opportunity to, or I will have an opportunity to talk with you more about that in coming days. This week we'll try to kind of do somewhat of a recap of what transpired there. But I wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to speak this morning with Doug Enyart. Doug is if you're not aware, is the constitutional candidate running for the 8th District here in Missouri. Now, the election, for the record, is tomorrow. And so if you have not made sure and made it in your plans to be at the election tomorrow, I strongly encourage you to do that. You're not going to have an opportunity to make an impact on our national dialogue any better than you can tomorrow. And I strongly would like to encourage you to make sure that you're in attendance there. And our goal as patriots should be to break the chain of what's going on, where we have the Republicans and the Democrats basically ruling our nation. You know, I talk about it every single day about how these two parties have basically driven us to bankruptcy, driven us to corruption, and driven us to destruction. And if there's ever a time for you to separate yourself from that dialogue and help to break the chain, this is it, folks. You're never going to get a better chance to put a constitutional or a libertarian candidate into office on a national scale. And for the record, and Doug can confirm this, for the past 150 years, for 150 years, ladies and gentlemen, we have not had a national level candidate who has come from either the Libertarian or the Constitutional Party. And that ought to tell you everything that you need to know right there, because the past 150 years is what's brought our country to where we're at. So I want to bring on Doug this morning. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Michael. How are you doing?
I'm excellent, thank you. And I saw you up at the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Convention. That was an outstanding step and move on your part, I think, to make sure that, one, you're speaking with law enforcement and public officials at that event so that you have an opportunity to meet with them, help them understand your platform, but more importantly, help them to make sure that they understand their roles, duties, and responsibilities. So thank you for attending to that. I didn't see any other candidate up there, and I was very pleased to see you there.
Yeah, it was a very good event. Just speaker after speaker, they had topics that were just of vital interest to the nation. You know, you think about your county sheriff, and you think, well, you know, that's county level. Well, no. These folks were talking about national events and their role in it. You know, your local sheriff is vital and plays a role. He is the ultimate peace and law enforcement in the nation. As a matter of fact, the only
Absolutely.
Elected official the only place where we really have a choice. You know, if you live in a city and you have a police chief or you have a police department like that, you know, those folks are kind of you know.
Well, they're appointed, right? They're hired by a police chief is hired by the mayor and the city council and so forth and so on. So they have to bow to political pressure, and we heard chief after chief after chief state the same thing. Sheriffs, on the other hand, are actually elected, and they have the power of the people behind them, which is why every state is working to try to remove the sheriff from power.
Yes, yeah, and that's one of the points they made at the meeting there on Friday. I'm sure they reiterated that also on Saturday. I wasn't able to be there for Saturday, but one of the really important points is how much there's a move at the national level and sometimes at the local level, at the city level and the state level, to try and abolish the position of sheriff.
Yep.
Folks, it's important that we retain our sheriffs as an elected official responsible to the people who put him in office. Absolutely.
And you know why? Because they are the last stand against tyranny on a federal and or a state level. What came out at that meeting, and there was a broad discussion about it, was the 54 out of 63 sheriffs in Colorado who have made public statements, filed a lawsuit, number one, and secondarily made the public statement that they will not enforce the Colorado draconian gun ban that they just put into place. And ladies and gentlemen, if you ever want to see an opportunity or have an opportunity to see a group of people stand for your rights, that was it, man. I mean, you're talking about, you're talking about the vast majority, right? 54 out of 63 sheriffs have not only filed a lawsuit against the state of Colorado for the passage of that, but are also standing up and saying, we will not enforce it. So, and just to give you an idea of how big a burr that is under the saddle of the feds, here's what they threatened to do. They've threatened to send in the Secret Service to arrest the sheriffs. Wow. So you want to talk about some craziness, right? Okay, we're going to take a break. Doug, when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about your particular opportunities and role here in running for the 8th Congressional District. I applaud what you're doing. I have to tell you, I've been seeing a lot of chat and talk on the Internet about your candidacy, and I got to tell you, I'm impressed. I think that there's a lot of folks that are talking about you, And let's hope that you can make a big enough impact that you can take this election back, because, boy, the last thing we need is more Republicats and Democrats. I have to tell you, I'm really tired of the two-party system, and I think you have the first chance to break that system in a long time. So, folks, we're going to be back in just a moment with Doug, and we'll hear a little bit about his party platform. We'll be back in 1 second.
Kim Commando, a.k.a. the Digital Goddess, keeps you plugged in with a daily feature. Kim Commando's Digital Minute. This segment keeps you informed with what's going on in the technology world, along with new tips and tricks to use at home to improve those computer skills. Catch Commando at 7:22 a.m. during Cooper & Company on the Ozark's Best News Talk. If the feature has you craving more, join Kim, the Digital Goddess, Saturdays from noon to 3 on the Ozark's Best News Talk, 107.1 The Point.
Having difficulty with your computer? Do you think it has a mind of its own? Well, don't be alarmed. This happens to everyone at some point in time. Worry no more. Computer Dave and Kyle can help you out with PC Geeks, a weekly show right here on 107.1 The Point. Tune in Thursdays at 1 o'clock to ask computer-related questions and listen to the web topic of the week. That's PC Geeks here on 107.1 The Point.
We're back. So, Doug, you are fighting the good fight on the 8th District. I want to give our listeners an opportunity to hear directly from you why you believe that it's so important that we break the chain of this two-party duopoly system that we have. So, if you don't mind, just kind of give our listeners the opportunity to hear, not necessarily, because we can talk about your differences between you and the candidates, the other candidates that are running after the next segment or into the next segment. But I'd like you to give them an understanding of why you think that the duopoly system is broken.
Well, like you opened up with a few minutes ago, the two parties have dominated the political landscape for at least 150 years. They've created the current situation that we're in, and it's just ludicrous to think that if we just elect the right Democrat or we elect the right Republican, then the world will be great and all will be wonderful and things will be fixed.
We have 150 years of proof that hasn't worked.
That's exactly right. So we have to start thinking outside the box and thinking independently for ourselves. And what we really have to do is go back to the basics. And the basics for our nation is the Constitution. Everywhere I've gone, every meeting, every event I've done. Yesterday I was at Country Days in Farmington. I did Spring Fever Days over in Ellington. Everywhere I go, I hear the frustration in people's voices. They're telling me they're frustrated with their government. They are frustrated with the two-party system. There has never been a better chance of a so-called third party actually getting elected and going to Washington. And I've told people, if I am not successful at anything else other than breaking that barrier, that stranglehold, the monopoly that the Democrats and Republicans have held on over our government for 150 years, I will consider myself wildly successful. Now, I'm the Constitution Party candidate. Obviously, we feel pretty strongly about the Constitution. We feel that the Constitution is the tool for the job. It's the tool to reduce the size, the cost, and the intrusion of this government. The folks, the current crop of politicians that we have there now, if we had them writing a new Constitution, how big would that thing be?
Can you imagine?
They're all attorneys up there, so. We just can't afford to allow them to continue to run this government. We're pushing $17 trillion in federal debt, and these folks are talking about raising the debt limit once again in September.
Amazing.
That's
you know,
my grandkids.
When we talk about, and I'm going to jump back to your earlier point, which was when we talk about the size of these bills, right? They're touting now that they've got this somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 page immigration bill. And folks, for the record, if you haven't seen me or heard me say it yet, I'm going to say it again. The new slogan for that is no immigration until the borders are verifiably sealed and every illegal has registered. After that, we can have any discussion you want. But until those borders are verifiably sealed, and I mean verifiably, not by the word of Janet Napolitano, who says immigration is at the lowest point we've ever had. I don't care about that. I'm talking about verifiably sealed. I mean locked down harder than a goat's rear end. I don't want to see any immigration bill come to the House or the Senate. And but when we talk about a 1,500-page bill, recognize something, people. Just to put this into perspective for you, the Obamacare bill was what, 2,500 pages? And
2,700.
27, and it's now 20,000 pages of regulation. And this immigration bill is at least somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500, and it's not finished yet. And the regulations that are going to come out of that are going to affect and impact you in every aspect, because this is not about immigration. This is about how can they steal more power from you and give themselves more authority and power to monitor you in the name of cutting immigration. And so here's the deal. Recognize something. Our founders put together a constitution that in and of itself is like, 6 pages? And they outlined in 6 pages everything that we needed to know. Now you've got these traitors, treasonous, and statists who are writing legislative documents that are thousands of pages, and they still can't get it right. So that ought to tell you everything you need to know. It's not the number of words that you use. It's the words that you use. And what we see today is absolute. I mean, look, let's just call it what it is. This is treason, and it is perpetrated on us by every member of our House and Senate today without exception. I don't care who they are. The only one out there who I can even remotely even consider has any validity is that guy Ted Cruz out of Texas. Everybody else out there, and even him I have my doubts about, because, I mean, I only hear the stuff that, I see from the press and the media. But I do know Doug. I can tell you this. I know him on a personal level. I've met him before. We've had long discussions about his platform, where he stands. And I'm going to tell you this. If you want a Ted Cruz-ish type guy in the House, this is the guy that you should be putting your vote for tomorrow morning, folks. I'm going to tell you that if we don't have a candidate in the House that is responsive to the people themselves, we will get more of the same. And I can tell you now that Steve Hodges and Jason Smith, those guys already owe favors that they can never repay. And that means that they're beholden and on the hook for the remainder of whatever their professional career is. I can tell you that Enyart hasn't taken any money at all, because I've asked him about it directly. I can tell you that there's no corporate sponsors for him. There's people who walk up and give him a $20 and a $50 handshake, and that's about as much fundraising as he's been able to do. Meanwhile, Jason Smith has spent $300,000 to try to defeat the David as the Goliath, and I got to tell you, I'm tired of it. It's time that we make a change in the way in which we're electing our candidates, and this is the first step in the journey of 1,000 miles. I applaud what you're doing, Doug.
Well, Michael, a lot of folks saw the debate that we had last week. Maybe I'm sure some of your listeners have not. If not, I would really strongly encourage them to go online. They can download it. They can view it an archived file from KFVS 12, or just look it up on our Facebook page, the Constitution Party Facebook page. I think it's loaded on there. But that was a great debate. We covered a lot of serious issues, and everyone who has seen it, I've gotten so much positive feedback from that. I would really encourage the listeners to go and look at that if they have any doubts about me as a candidate or my capabilities as holding my own on a political stage like that. And one of the things I did in my closing statement at the debate was I made a pledge, and I've said this at various forums, and some of your listeners are out there. They've heard me say this. I will refuse access to all paid lobbyists in Washington. I made that pledge up at the debate in my closing statements, and I asked my colleagues on the stage, my competitors, to match my pledge, and none of them did. And additional to that is that I have pledged that I will also write a piece of legislation removing my own lifetime retirement benefit after serving one term. You know, I've heard people, I feel the same way. It's not fair for somebody to go to Washington as a representative, serve 2 years, and then when they retire, they've got lifetime salary benefits from serving that 2 years. That's just not fair. You don't find that out in the private sector. It doesn't belong. So
right.
If anybody had any doubts about my why I'm running, I can tell you now, it's not for the money. I'm doing this out of a sense of duty. I'm doing this for my grandkids. I'm doing this because
you're doing it for our grandkids.
I took an oath, yes, all of our grandkids, and for our district. I took an oath as a United States Marine a long time ago that I would protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I'll tell you, folks, the most important enemy we've got right now is within the gates.
Yeah. The barbarian isn't at the gates. They're through the gates. They're eating our children, and they're adopting our way of life and then poisoning it from the inside. So, I got to tell you, people, if you want an opportunity to change the paradigm in Washington, this is your one and only crack at it. Because if Doug and guys like him cannot get a hold of this Congress between now and 2014, we're not going to make 2016. I'm telling you right now. So you've got an opportunity to make a difference, make an impact. Do so now while you can, and make sure that you're out there tomorrow and you're voting. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to put a challenge out there to our listenership right now. I would like for you, when you go to vote tomorrow, because on an off-election year like this, without all kinds of other types of things on the ballot, this is the only thing on the ballot, folks. There's only one event on the ballot, and that is to elect an 8th representative, a representative for the 8th district. Now, a lot of people aren't going to show up, and they're not going to show up because they're completely clueless, and or they don't know about it, and or they think it doesn't matter. I'm challenging every one of you to bring at least 2 people to the polls with you. 2. And make sure that when they do, they're voting for Enyart. Because if you don't have if ever there was an opportunity for you to get a loaded dice into the game, if you will, this is it, people. This is it. There's no other distractions on the ballot. There's no other issues. So a lot of folks are going to stay home and not vote. Hopefully, a lot of the liberals and progressives, and quite frankly, a lot of the Republicans, they're going to stay home and not vote. This is your chance. You have an opportunity to engage here and create a sneak attack, if you will, and put somebody in there that is not one of the same old that has been destroying this country for the past 150 years. And I'm encouraging you to take 2 people with you to the polls who are actually going to help to make a difference. And that's my challenge to you. I'm telling you right now that if every one of us out there brings 2 people with us that are going to vote Enyart, he's in. And then we have an opportunity to take that crowbar that we've placed into the House and begin to apply some pressure where it really needs to be applied. So, Doug, what you're doing and what your stance is, and the commitments that you've made to go in there and to begin to repeal a lot of the legislative stuff that's out there now, to put some kind of open policy here on shedding the light on what's really going on in the House and in the Senate and in our federal Congress and our federal legislative body itself. That stuff is invaluable, and I don't know anyone else who's made that type of a commitment. So I'm encouraging you to continue along those lines, and I want our listeners to make sure that they're doing everything that's in our power collectively to make sure that you're the guy who's sitting in the catbird seat at the end of the day tomorrow afternoon. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'd like to talk a little bit about the difference between you and the other people that are competing against you for this seat, and where your stance differs from theirs, if we can.
Sure.
And so, folks, you're listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Mike Evans. We're discussing with Doug Enyart this morning his candidacy for the election tomorrow. We'll be back in just a moment.
Fox News Radio, I'm Salchi Ingrasso. Nearly 3,000 people north of Los Angeles could remain out of their homes today as firefighters try to gain control of a 35-square-mile wildfire in the Angeles National Forest.
The wind shifted like 3 different times. It was blowing away from us, and we thought we were going to be safe, and then it shifted back and started blowing things back to us.
A Lake Elizabeth, California resident, the fire is fueled by extremely old and dry brush. It's now 40% surrounded. Another wildfire is burning in New Mexico's Santa Fe National Forest. In Turkey, a 4th straight day of protests.
It all began when a small group started demonstrating about plans to build on a city park, but it quickly turned into a general protest against the government. Protesters say the government is becoming increasingly authoritarian and trying to impose conservative Islamic values on the officially secular country.
Fox News Radio's Emily Wither. Fox News. We report, you decide.
Thanks to Jason over at Wits End Classic Barbershop for sponsoring our phone lines. You can call our Wits End Classic Barbershop hotline, and you can get over there and get yourself a shave and a haircut. 2 bits. Well, a little bit more than 2 bits. Thanks to our friends over at Pizza Hut as well. On Porter Wagoner Boulevard, they have an outstanding lunch special, and on Tuesday nights, they have Kids Eat Free. Children under 12 eat for free. They're on Porter Wagoner Boulevard in West Plains. Make sure you visit Pizza Hut. Our friends at the Battery Station, 303 Washington Avenue at batterystation.com. You can also reach them via telephone at 257-7799. Folks over at West Plains Pawn and Gun. Kenny's a friend of ours and a great supporter of our program. 417-256-3000, located about a mile and a half on Route 160 past Walmart. You can reach him also on the web at westplainspawn.com. Ozark Mountain Self-Reliance, half-mile east of Walmart at Route 62 in Mountain Home. You can find them on the web at ozarkmtnselfreliance.com. And you can call them at 870-492-4030. My friend Mary over at Chantilly's Artisan Bakery, the best damn bakery in 100 miles. She can be reached at 417-255-2253. You can also find her at number 2 Evans Arcade. Outstanding bakery. Bill Stone over at Stone Construction at 2930116. Whether remodeling, building new, or doing some kind of custom construction like commercial or farm work, Bill's the guy for you. 2930116.
If you're looking for great deals on iPads or Kindles, look no further than your neighborhood Radio Shack authorized sales center. They've got great deals on the latest iPads and Kindles. Maybe you need a new GPS or an MP3 player to get your music library ready for those barbecues. Whatever your electronic needs, stop by your local neighborhood Radio Shack authorized dealer in West Plains at 1408 Southern Hills Shopping Center or call 417-256-1819.
Weather sponsorships are now available on News Talk 107.1 The Point. Get more information, email info@diamondmediaradio.com for complete details.
From the Point Weather Center for this morning, a mainly clear sky, mostly sunny through the day with a high of 74, partly cloudy tonight, low 54. Mostly sunny tomorrow, high 78, partly to mostly cloudy tomorrow night, low 60. Wednesday, cloud, sun, maybe a thunderstorm, high 82. I'm meteorologist Jim Rinaldi. For more information, visit my1071thepoint.com.
I once lassoed a shooting star that dragged me into a U.S. cellular store where I saved $100 on a 4G LTE Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1. Yeah, right. $100 savings on the newest Galaxy Note tablet? Crazy talk.
Get great deals on all our Galaxy devices like $100 off the 4G LTE Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1 tablet. U.S. Cellular. Hello better. Certain restrictions apply. Applicable data plan required. New 2-year agreement and $35 device activation fee may apply. See store for details.
All right. We're back. Just a quick note here. I just want to mention to you folks that we have a friend of ours who is a kind of a supporter and a sponsor of our program. It's the Black Ops School of Combat. And Greg is a friend of mine, and he's also a guy who has created a brand new technique, and it's the world's fastest technique to clear a double feed malfunction in a semi-auto pistol, and it also clears the failure to fire and stovepipe jams in a pistol in less than 1.5 seconds. Now, for those of you who are pistol tacticians, that is an amazing event and an amazing technique and skill that you can learn. He's running some concealed carry courses. And I know Greg on a personal level. I've known him for many years. He's an excellent trainer and teacher. He's got a very, very significant resume, and I would like for you to participate. He's got classes that are going to be running on June 29th. They start at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's the Black Ops School in West Plains here. The cost is $75 per person. The course is 8 hours in length, and you have to shoot both a semi-auto and a revolver, as you know. He does have pistols available if you don't have one. So if you just have a semi-auto or you have a revolver, you know, he can help you obtain the other one. And basically, you just have to furnish your own ammunition for that. They do classes on Saturdays, and then they also do their concealed carry where they split it 2 classes during the week, 2 evening classes. And so there's nothing prohibiting you from being able to go get that concealed carry. Now, the web address for the school is the blackopsschoolofcombat.com. That's Black Ops, O-P-S, schoolofcombat.com. And I've got to tell you that this is a great opportunity for you to get your concealed carry. It's only $75. The phone number over there, and I want you to give Greg a call and talk to him about getting onto a class that's being set up. It's 417-255-1612. That's 417-255-1612. 417-255-1612. Make sure that you have an opportunity to get yourself into one of these classes. Now that the rules have been changed on the Department of Revenue, spilling your information to the feds, there's no reason for you to be afraid to be on a list. And I encourage you to get your concealed carry for no other reason than it's time for you to make and take a stand to say, I support the Second Amendment, and this will give you the perfect opportunity to do that. You can call Greg at 255-1612. That's 417-255-1612. Okay, I wanted to bring a caller on who just heard my challenge to the audience about bringing a secondary voter or at least 2 additional voters with them to vote Constitution Party. Good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, especially this day before the election.
So tell me what you just told me before the break, because that's mind-blowing.
I have 8 people committed to me to come down and vote. We're going to carpool down to the polls, and we've got 8 people to vote. I challenged somebody to reach 10 or more.
There you go. So I challenged for 2. Glenn picks up 8, and he's now challenging you to hit 10 or more. So let's make this a little bit of a contest, folks. How many people can you get to show up to the polls with you for the constitutional to vote Constitution Party tomorrow during the election? And that is an outstanding. I'm telling you. Listen to that, Doug. You can hear this as well. When we put out a challenge, there's the response, right? Somebody picks up that challenge, and within 5 minutes has got 8 people going to the polls with him to vote for you.
Excellent.
That is outstanding, and I am really proud of you. Thank you so much.
More than welcome, and it's a good thing to happen.
Absolutely, sure is. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yes.
All right, we'll find, and so here's the challenge, folks. I put out the challenge to bring 2 voters. Glenn picked up that challenge and found 8. And so here's the rule, or here's the new challenge. Can you bring 10? Can you bring 10 voters to the polls with you that will vote Constitution Party? So I encourage you to do that. There's no prizes for this. The prize is that we get to save our republic. How's that, folks? That's a hell of a prize. That's the biggest prize that you've ever seen, right? There's no game show that can give you a better prize than that. Here's the prize. If you can bring 10 voters, you get to save our republic.
You put Missouri in the lead. We can lead the nation down a different path, a pathway back to the Constitution, a constitutionally limited government.
There you go. There you go. So, all right, Doug, tell us a little bit about the separation lines between you and the other candidates that are running.
Okay, well, first and foremost is the 2 parties, the 2 main parties, the Democrats, the Republicans. It doesn't matter which one would get elected. If we elect either one of those, they're going to follow their party leadership when they get into Washington, and they're going to bow down to their corporate masters. So
as they always do.
As they always do. Now their coffers are full. You know, even amongst the two of them, the poor guy's got over $250,000 in his coffers.
And he's the poor guy.
He's the poor guy. Now, the rich guy, and it's pretty obvious which one's rich, has over $500,000 in his coffers. Over $500,000, and these numbers came last week. There's no telling how much more they've picked up since then.
Right.
And I can tell you, folks,
that's not $20 handshakes.
That's not $20 handshakes. That's not the kind of folks that have been supporting my campaign and giving me $20 or $25. $50, and knowing, as a candidate, I know these folks they're giving out of the goodness of their heart.
Right. Maybe
I
out of their food bill.
I mean, here, the Palin PAC made a $5,000 donation to the rich guy.
Oh my!
That's $5,000. Boom. That's more than I've taken in the entire campaigin by a long shot.
Yeah, there you go.
So
how shameful for Palin to support him. I mean, she obviously has never met the guy, and has never done any due diligence. It's like this Tea Party in California I railed against last week. I mean, what a shameful act to just support them just because he uses the term Republican.
Just because he's got an R behind his name.
Yeah, I mean, that is inexcusable. And if ever you had a like for Sarah Palin and her PAC, now's the time to make sure that you never donate. Folks, here's my recommendation, by the way. Never donate money to a PAC. Always give your money directly to the candidate. One, the PAC skims off the top to cover their expenses. And two, you're not getting the real, you don't have any control over where that money goes. It's like giving your money to the union and then they send it over to Obama. You have no idea what they're going to do with that money. So don't give money to PACs. Give it directly to the candidate. Walk up and hand that guy a check or $100 bill or $1,000 and say, here, this is to support your campaign because I believe in what you're doing. That's the importance of, and that's how elections should be run, by the way.
Well, I'd fall over backwards if somebody handed me $1,000, Mike.
I'll wager. Yeah.
And I'd have to interject there.
They'd have to span those dollars out like a Chinese fan and fan you back awake.
Yeah, and I'd have to interject that before you give $1 to a candidate, check them out. I've gone to forums, I've spoken to groups, and I've said, look, if you have Internet access, if you know how to use the Internet, type my name into Google or whatever web browser you use, check me out, and then check the other candidates out. See what I've done with my life. I never intended to get into politics, but I came to a point where I just can't sit on the sidelines anymore. I own my business. I built my business from scratch. I'm right here I am literally in Piedmont on Main Street, and I didn't get a bailout.
Right.
So I am from the people. I can represent the people a lot better than these politicians.
You know, that term bailout, what we are trying to do, ladies and gentlemen, is we're trying to bail the water out of the boat before it sinks. And the only way that you're ever going to accomplish that is to break the back of this duopoly system. I cannot strongly encourage you enough. I don't care if you think Jason Smith is the guy and you're going to throw a spoiler vote to Doug Enyart or Bill Slants from the Libertarian Party. I'm telling you right now, it is time to get rid of that silly attitude that, well, if I throw that, I'm ensuring that the Democrat's going to win. Let me tell you something. Hodges is not going to win. I can tell you that right now. He is not going to win. And if you sit there and say that my vote is a spoiler vote, then you have done a disservice to our nation. You have done a disservice because what you're doing is you're playing right into the hands of exactly the ideological thinking that the Republican and the Democratic parties have been shoving down your throat for the last 100 years. If you fall for that, I got some oceanfront property right in St. Louis that's perfect for you. And that's the truth. Stop believing the lies that you have been told. And stop thinking that the Republican Party is not lying to you. They're lying to you about everything else. What makes this any different? So if we're gonna change this, we're gonna change it, and we're gonna do it from the inside, not the other way around. you've got to make sure that you are putting your best foot forward and you are making sure that your vote counts. Your vote does count, one at a time, individually. And it is time for us to send a message to the Republicans and the Democrats. You are persona non grata. That means you are out, and we are going to start electing candidates who are going to truly do the bidding of the people. Doug, hang on with us for this last break, and then I want you to give out your contact information. Sure. So folks can get a hold of you if they need to. Make sure, here's your challenge, people. I put the challenge out to bring 2 people who will vote Constitution Party tomorrow. We've already had a caller who called up and said he's bringing 8. Can you bring 10? There's your challenge, people. The number's just been anteed up. Can you bring 10? We'll be back in just a moment.
The Battery Station in West Plains is your headquarters for getting and being prepared. Natural disasters, civil unrest, personal and family protection, long-term sustenance, and most importantly, peace of mind. Berkey bottles and home-sized water purification systems, survival food, MREs, freeze-dried food, survival knives, lanterns, ammunition, military sleep system, and of course, batteries of all shapes and sizes. Take charge of your own survival and security. The Battery Station, 303 Washington and West Plains, 417-257-7799 or batterystation.com. Coast to Coast AM brings the Ozarks a whole new feel for radio. Midnight to 6 a.m. every night here on the Ozarks Best News Talk 107.1 The Point. Where else would you get callers talking about everything from UFOs to war trends, from mental energy to anomalies, and from lost knowledge to aliens? Listen to experts and researchers who are part of the guest list every night here on the Ozarks Best News Talk. Don't miss Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Midnight to 6 a.m. every night here on the Ozarks Best News Talk 107.1 The Point.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number.
Call 877-509-MY-TV.
The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money.
Call 877-509-MY-TV.
Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound.
Call 877-509-MY-TV.
So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card.
Call 877-509-MY-TV. 877-509-MY-TV.
Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more.
Call 877-509-MY-TV. 877-509-MY-TV.
Let me respectfully remind you that you don't need TV at all, folks. Get rid of your television, because it's the one thing that they have as a hold on you, and it is gelling your mind. It is turning your mind to jello. Get rid of your television set. Get rid of your cable and your satellite television. And finally, listen, I have no problem with internet access as long as you use it wisely. But if you're watching television, you're giving them access to your mind. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a mistake. Okay, Doug, you want to? Would you be kind enough to give us some contact information for you and the Constitution Party of Missouri and all that kind of thing? Sure. Constitution Party for Missouri directly. Now, this is not the National Constitution Party. This is the Missouri one, and it's CPMO.us. That's CP, like Constitution Party, MO for Missouri.us, right?
Right. That is correct.
How about the and they have a Facebook page as well, and they have a link, if I'm not mistaken, up to for that debate that you had.
There'll be yes. If you go to the Constitution Party of Missouri's website, there's links to their Facebook page. There's also a link to my website, which is enyartforcongress.us, and there's a link there also for the debate, and I would really encourage the listeners to go to that. But if anybody was scrambling for paper and pencil to write some of this down, let's give it to them kind of slowly, give them a chance to write it down. That link for the Constitution Party for Missouri, again, is www.cpmo.us, and my website is enyartforcongress.us as well.
There you go.
If somebody wants to call me, Now I got a load of messages through my website that I picked up just a little while ago. I only had time to answer one of them, but you can send me a question through the website. I will answer it. You can send me a message directly to my business. That's my email is cfc@semo.net. I'll give that to you again. cfc@semo.net. If you want to call me, sometimes email is just too cumbersome. If you want to call me, I'll give you my cell phone. It's 573-429-7800. You can call my office, 573-223-7010.
Outstanding.
I'll be glad to talk to anybody and answer your questions, your concerns. Lady just sent me a message. I think she sent it yesterday, but I just got it this morning. She was asking me what my position on the United Nations was. Well, my position on the United Nations is that it's populated by globalists, and we certainly have plenty of globalists within our own government. I think that it's populated with people whose interests run contrary to the interest of the United States. It's a good place to start cutting the budget, and they can pack up the UN and take it back to Europe.
Doug, give me that cell phone again.
Okay, it's 573-429-7800.
There you go, folks. If you have a question and you want to do your vetting or your due diligence on Doug before tomorrow, there's your chance and there's your opportunity. Get a hold of him via his office or his cell phone. It's 573-429-7800. That's a great cell phone number. Mm-hmm. And then his office is 573-223-7010. You can find his website at enyartforcongress.us, and Enyart is spelled ENYART. So it's Enyart, FOR, for Congress.us. You can find the Constitution Party's Facebook page at facebook.com/CP Missouri. CP Missouri, and spell Missouri out, not CPMO. Their website is cpmo.us. All right. So here's your challenge, people. We put out a challenge to bring 2 people with you to the polls to vote Constitution Party tomorrow. One of our listeners literally picked up the telephone within 5 minutes. We were still in the same segment, and on a break, he called me up and said he not only had 2, he had 8. 8 people. They're pooling and driving down to the polls to vote Constitution Party tomorrow. Tomorrow is the election. So do not miss this. Do not pass this opportunity by. This is the best opportunity we've got in 150 years to break the back of this, especially right here. We can lead the nation. We can lead the charge. We can restore Missouri and restore the republic by putting in place legislators who will actively do what is right for the people instead of what is right for the party. And if you're fooled by this old party crap that he's a spoiler and it's a spoiler vote and all that, then you're listening to the wrong program. Action speaks louder than words.
Amen.
So, hey, Doug, I want to thank you very much for participating with us. I'll give out your information one more time before the end of the program.
All right. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you so much. And listen, Godspeed and God bless you tomorrow. And I'll be voting tomorrow. I can assure you of that. And I'll be bringing some folks with me as well. And I'm not sure I'm going to have the time to rally 8 or 10. Well, hopefully this.
Oh, come on, you can do it.
Well, this show is rallying literally hundreds of people who are going to show up at the polls for you tomorrow. So, folks, make sure that you are with Doug on this fight. Let's show the nation that Missouri is in the lead of a return to a constitutional republic. Thanks, Doug.
You're welcome.
All right, you have a great day.
Thanks to all your listeners.
Okay, folks, that was Doug Enyart. Again, he's the 8th Congressional District candidate from the Constitution Party. You can find the Constitution Party's website at cpmo.us. That's Charlie Papa, M-O, like the abbreviation for Missouri, .us. You can also find their Facebook page at facebook.com/CP, like Constitution Party, Missouri, and you spell Missouri out. You can also call Doug directly. You can go to his website at enyartforcongress.us. That's ENYART for FOR Congress.us. And you can call him on his office line at 573-223-7010. You can also call him on his cell phone directly. How many times have you heard a candidate running for Congress who's given you their cell phone? 573-429-7800. That's 573-429-7800. Folks, I got to tell you, time is up. This is an opportunity for us to break the chain here and the cycle of treason and tyranny that's going on in our nation. And this is your chance to shine. This is your chance to make your vote count. And I mean count big. Make it happen tomorrow. Let's break the cycle and break the chain of this Republican-Democrat duopoly. It is a shame, and it is a black eye on the American voters the American voters in the constituencies in the 8th District. We must stop this train. And the best way to accomplish that right now is to put in place people who will actually fight for your opportunities, your rights, not the party's dictates. He will not follow the party, I can tell you that. He's not going there to make friends. You know, people have said to me many times, Mike, why don't you run for office? I'm going to tell you, if I ever ran for office, first of all, if I could win and get in there, and I think they'd throw everything against me. But I can tell you this, I wouldn't go in there to learn the ropes. I would go in there and start a war. And I mean no holds barred, no quarter asked, and none given. And I'm telling you that that's what Enyart's willing to do. So here's your opportunity to put a warrior in place who will gut this dragon from the inside out. Okay? Get out there tomorrow. Make sure that you're out there. Tomorrow is the election. It is your one and final chance to make a difference on the federal side of things. After that, people, if Enyart doesn't get in and Smith does, listen, this blue ways and all this stuff we're going to need to fight that's coming down the pike, there's no way Smith is going to back you on that. So make it your business to make sure that you've got somebody who's going to fight on your side in Washington, and you can do that tomorrow. All right, we're going to have to run in just a moment. We're wrapping up our show. I do want to mention the match program, which is finding a cure for this young fella who is he's got a bone marrow problem. And so there is on June 6th here at the radio station from 3 to 7 p.m., right here at number 10 Court Square, from 3 to 7 p.m. This is June 6th. There's going to be an opportunity for you to come out here and literally just take this simple test. They swab the inside of your cheek with like a Q-tip, and they can tell whether or not you would be a match for a bone marrow donation to this young fellow who's 16 years old. And he's got a rare form of disease in his bone marrow, and he's also, what's really troubling is not that so much, but the fact that he's got a very rare form of bone marrow. And so it's very, very, very difficult to find a match. The more people that we have who will come and take this test, the better the odds are that we will get somebody who will be a good match for him. And so I'm encouraging you to come here. There's no cost for you to do this. It takes about 15 minutes. And I would like to see our listeners lined up around the corner. Now, there is one limitation on this. You got to be between 18 and 44. You got to be 18 so that you can legally do it. And then you got to be less than 44 because us old farts, our DNA starts breaking down after 44. And it really limits our ability to be able to be a donor. So here's the deal. Please make sure that you're here June 6th from 3 to 7 p.m. at 10 Court Square and be the match. Okay? One quick final note on the Greg McLaughlin's Black Ops School of Combat. Please make sure that you call him at 417-255-1612. That's 417-255-1612. And make sure that you sign up for a concealed carry class. You don't have to worry about being on a list anymore because that's been stopped legally. So you will now have the opportunity to get a concealed carry. The sheriffs will now be in charge of it, not the DOR or the state patrol. And this is your opportunity to get your concealed carry and stand up for the Second Amendment. Also need you folks to be calling the governor's office today and telling him This is, I think today or tomorrow is his last day. We expect him to sign the Second Amendment Preservation Act. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
We are the Ozarks' best news talk, KBMV Birch Tree.